Din 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 dan ya din din din.
Hi, I'm Gindi Walkup. This is a review of a Darkwood 3-ring swept hilt rapier. Before I begin, I just want to say a few things kind of to disclaim this review. One, I sell swords in Australia, so I distribute lots of swords, mostly for my students, but also to other people around Australia. I don't sell Darkwoods because there's not much point me holding a stock of Darkwoods when Darkwood have fairly good shipping arrangements to Australia, and they have lots of good custom options that get put together quite quickly. So if you want to get a sword from Darkwood, it's best just to contact them directly. That's the easiest way to get it, at least in Australia. So the sword that I have here, this sword is about 12 years old. So I bought it in 2008. I've been using it pretty much that entire time. Originally for fencing in the SCA, and then later I developed an interest in HEMA and then started my own HEMA club. So I've been using this for HEMA for probably 6-7 years now, maybe 8. It's been quite a while. Yeah, actually I think 8 years, 2012. This has 3 wings. It's got the acorn pommel, and it's got a baited blade with a 42 inch. So it's 42 inches from the quillions all the way out here to the tip. I've had to replace the grip once, and the blade broke at the Tang about 4 or 5 years ago, and then I had it repaired by a friend, and I'm still using the same blade since then. He did a great job. So what do I like about this sword? What do I think are really good things about it? I think that the balance on this sword is excellent. You can probably see I've been using it for a while, so the quillions are a little bit beat up, so it's been quite durable for that time. I think that the length is really right for me. I like the look of it. The 3-ring swept is great for making the overall sword weigh a little bit less than other options. So cup hilts, what often get called Pappenheimers, things with a full plate here, anything that has more metal in the guard will just weigh more and therefore slow the sword down. I really like the baited blade because it's a little bit stiffer and a little bit heavier than the standard Darkwood practice blade. They also have a sort of a foil blade, which I haven't had much experience with, but they look quite nice, and some other people I know like them. So I really like the baited blade because it pushes the weight out a little bit, gives it a little bit more of a kind of real sword handling, without being dangerous in any way. It's still got plenty of flex. Probably the things that I don't like about Darkwoods in general, you can't see this because I've got a leather tip over this, but the blades just kind of end with a square end, so there's nothing to make them safer. You have to put something on them to tip them. So it would be lovely if they came with, say, a swelled end, so fattened, or a rolled end like the Regenis come with, just to make it a little bit easier, and then all you need to do is put the leather over the tip. Darkwood also sell plastic/rubber blunts that you can put on the tip, and they're quite nice, but they do weigh a little bit more. I find them a little bit too heavy. So what I use is a little bit of metal folded over the top and then some leather over that, and that's the lightest weight, and it gives me a nice, durable, safe tip. The breaking at the Tang is a common problem, unfortunately, with Darkwood blades. In the US, Darkwoods can very quickly and easily be shipped back. So if they break at the Tang, you can send them back to Darkwood and they'll weld them up or do a new one or whatever, and the costs of that are quite low. Here in Australia, shipping to and from the US is much more exorbitant, and so it's more of a pain when something breaks. So you can get it fixed locally, or Darkwood will often just send a replacement. So that's an issue. It was more of a problem a few years ago. They seem to have improved it, but it's fundamentally a design flaw, I think, because they're using a 6mm Tang rather than something a little bit thicker, and because of some of the ways that they do the welding, which, again, I don't fully understand, but other people I do who know welding, who I've talked to, and people who've repaired swords for me have said, yeah, the way that they're putting these Tangs together isn't quite as ideal as they could be. So the Tang is an issue, but again, they do come with a good warranty and they'll sort those sorts of problems out. And most of the time it's not an issue, especially for a rapier. Three-wing swept is great. Having a little bit of a hole here can be an issue, especially if you practice a style that involves holding your sword out straight from the side, because you can really see into that gap and someone else's sword can come in here. Because I hold my sword a little bit lower, because I'm doing Italian rapier, I don't have a problem with it. It hasn't been an issue. So if you're doing something like Capoferro or Gigante, I think it's great. They work really nicely to put one finger over. I wouldn't use it as much for something like Rada. They're just a little bit too heavy, or at least this version is a little bit too heavy. But again, Darkwood have lots of good custom options. What I mostly wanted to mention is I've had this sword for 12 years and it's still really good. Last thing to mention with the grip and with the leather here. So the grips that they sell, sometimes I feel like they're a little bit fat. I have medium to small hands, and I find it really nice and important that the ring finger can actually touch the pad of your thumb. So if your grip is too fat and your ring finger can't touch the pad of your thumb, your grip is too fat. That's the problem. So what I actually did was I got a standard leather grip and I asked for the narrowest grip they could do, and then I took the leather off to make it even narrower, and I really like it like that. Because they are screw-on, you can replace all of the individual parts, which is really nice again for robustness, and that's one of the reasons I replaced the grip. You do want to put a little bit of leather, a little bit of a leather washer in between the grip and the pommel, and that just absorbs some of the vibrations that unscrew pommels sometimes. If you're going to get your own Darkwood, I recommend looking at the exact weight in grams of the pommel and thinking about the sort of balance that you want in your sword. So a heavier pommel will bring the overall mass closer to the hand, which is really nice for disengages, or a lighter pommel will allow the mass to kind of stay a little further away from the hand, which will make the sword do circular cuts really nicely. So those are some good and bad things about a Darkwood. In general, I do recommend them, although again, they're a little bit more pricey than some of the other rapier options out there, but you're getting a really good product for that. So you get what you pay for. See you next time.